Dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Manzur Ahmad, lecturer history. Our today's question for 12th class students of history subject is: what are the problems of using official sources in writing about the history of peasants in India during the British rule? Dear students, let me repeat the question. What are the problems of using official sources? Official sources means documents, books, and papers written by British officials about India. So, what are the problems of using these official sources in knowing about or writing about the life and the history of peasants in India during British rule? Let's explain the question now. Dear students, as you know that peasants always played a very important role during the British history of British rule over India. And now if we want to know about the life of the peasants, about the history of the peasants in India, about life of the peasants in India during British rule, then for knowing about the life of the peasants, if we use the official sources, that is the books, the papers, the documents written by British officers about India, what are the problems we have to face rather when we use these official sources, these books, documents, and this paper is written by British officers about India. What are the problems in using these sources to know about the life of the peasants in India? In other words, how can we say that we cannot be able to know the get the real picture of the life of the peasants in India during the British rule if we directly use the books, the papers, the documents written by British officers about India? So, what are the in nutshell we can see? We have to see now what are the limitations, what are the problems in using the official sources, that is documents, books, and papers written by British officers about India, in using these sources to know about the history or the life of peasants in India during British rule. Let's answer the question now. Dear students, there are numerous problems in using the official sources, that is the documents, the books, and the papers prepared by British officials about India. So there are several problems that one has to face while using these official sources to know about the life of peasants in India. Why? Let's try to understand. Dear students, Britishers or the English people had come to India not for the welfare of Indians, not to uplift the Indian culture, not for the science and technological development of Indians, but they had come to India with the clear motive of draining India's wealth, with the clear motive of sacking India's wealth, taking India's wealth to England. And Britishers knew that if they would straightway tell the people of India that they had come to loot Indians, that they had come to sack Indians, Indians would revolt. Therefore, the Britishers tried to tell Indians that they had not come to India to loot them, they had not come to India to sack their wealth, but they had come to India to civilize uncivilized Indians, to uplift India's culture, to make India scientifically and technologically forward. So the Britishers tried to project between before the Indians that they were well-wishers of Indians. They were not the looters of Indians, they were the well-wishers of Indians. So therefore, whenever Britishers talked about India, wrote about India, wrote books about India, they always tried to pinpoint or pick out the negative aspects of the Indian culture and society, so that they can tell the Indians, oh, see Indians, what problems we have. Your culture, your life is very backward. So they always try to highlight the negative aspects, negative points of Indian culture and life, so that Indians can themselves say, yes, and Britishers had come to civilize them, they had come to loot them, as they were backward, as Britishers tried to always project before the Indians. So, whenever these British officials tried to write about the condition of peasants in India during their rule, the Britishers no doubt wrote that the condition of peasants in India was very bad. The condition of peasants in India was very precarious. They were facing a hard life. But they made it to believe that the condition of peasants was not bad because of the British rulers, was not because of the high demand of the land revenue by the British officials. The condition of the peasants was bad mainly because of the moneylenders who were Indians, mainly because of the zamindars. They believe, Britishers made Indians believe that the moneylenders who were also Indians, the zamindars who were Indians, they all exploited them peasants, and peasants were highly, we can say, opposite to, or very much annoyed and antagonized with moneylenders and zamindars, and they were not unhappy with the British rule over India. For example, when this Deccan people revolted against moneylenders, zamindars, and British in the areas of Bombay, which we talked about earlier in the lectures in 1875. What was then said when this report about this revolt was prepared by the British officials? In the report, it was concluded that the people of the Bombay had started revolt, not against the high land revenue demand of the Britishers, but against the moneylenders who had demanded high rate in high interest rates from them. So they were not annoyed with the British officials. Similarly, the British official records always try to show that Indian peasants and other common people were happy with the Britishers, with the British rule, and zamindars and moneylenders were basically the two agents, basically the two Indian the two Indian parties, rather zamindars, moneylenders. It was these people who exploited the peasants, and these peasants were against their own moneylenders, their own zamindars, and not against the British rule. And the British official records do not consider Britishers at fault in any way in the bad condition of the peasants. Britishers always thought that the peasants were in bad conditions. But the bad condition was not because of the British rule. They make us believe that the peasants were basically fooled by some selfish persons for their own needs and wanted these peasants to revolt against Britishers. Otherwise, peasants never wanted to revolt against Britishers, but the peasants are sometimes fooled by some selfish persons who used these peasants for their own selfish motives. Otherwise, these peasants were always happy with the British rule. They never wanted to revolt against the British rule. So, keeping all the above points in view, we can easily say, if at the end of the day we understand, no doubt, moneylenders exploited these peasants, zamindars exploited peasants, but at the top of all, there's the British government. British government was suppressing zamindars and moneylenders were then suppressing the peasants. Had British government not suppressing, this is the factual thing which British official records do not say, official books do not say, do not tell about. Had British officials not suppressing zamindars for want of huge land revenue demand, the zamindars would not have suppressed peasants. They would not have forced peasants to pay huge land revenue demand, huge land revenue. And moneylenders also did the same because they were suppressed, they were forced by the British officials. So, if zamindars and moneylenders exploited peasants, it was mainly because of the high-handedness, because of the suppression of zamindars and moneylenders at the hands of Britishers, and then these moneylenders and zamindars exploited the peasants. So, if we really want to see the real picture of peasants, a real life of the reality of the condition of peasants in India, we have to use the British sources as well. We have to use official sources, but we have to use them carefully. And along with using official sources of Britishers, we need to also consult other sources, other Indian sources as well, local sources as well, to know a reality about the condition of the peasants in India during the British rule. Thank you.